All right. So I'm gonna get right into this video. Now, yesterday, Friday, March the 8th, I had a meeting with the superintendent, Dr. Marc Whichard, in which we are supposed to meet about his denial of my volunteer application to volunteer at school at the specifically the Carver Heights Elementary School. Um, the application was denied, and I had to kind of let it go because I was told specifically that they changed the policy specifically 1 week before this program was supposed to start, specifically to make me ineligible. And that came from a credible source. And so I saw him at the February the 29th quote unquote special meeting where he, kind of, did a lot of babbling about the budget, but didn't address a lot of the issues that people were concerned about. And I asked him the question. I said, well, why did you deny my application? Well, I can't speak about that in public, but, call me and we'll set up an appointment to talk about it. So I guess he thought that was going to deter me from asking from getting the answer because he knows who I am. He could have easily answered the question, but you're going to see that's once again his tactic when not wanting to take responsibility for, lack of a better term, for his actions. So I called the secretary about a couple of weeks ago, and she set up an appointment for yesterday at 8:15. So I recorded the meeting just to give people an inside look of what happens and what is said behind closed doors. And so I'm going to let you listen to this recording. I hope you can hear it. If it's a little low, I'm going to stop it at times and kind of give you some commentary on it. But we met, and of course he didn't meet me by himself. He had Ken Derksen with him, which was like, I guess he was Batman and Derksen was Robin. When I, questioned him about some things, then, Ken Derksen hopped in. Hey, can I answer? And I'm like, okay, because really there is no answer for, why my application was denied since nothing changed from 2022 to 2023, when I read all year, to now. But they tried to blame it on policy, and you're going to hear that quickly being debunked by some of the questions I asked. Now, secondly, I also asked him about the closing of the Wayne Academy track. And I specifically asked them, okay, well, this track has been open since it was Goldsboro Junior High. It has been open to the public since it was Dillard Middle or Goldsboro Middle School. It was open to the public since it has been Wayne Academy. So why now that Wayne Engineering is preparing to take over the school, why is that closed to the public? And with this, he says, well, I wish you would have asked me that, before we met, then I'd have had some answers for you. That's a clear answer that he has. But of course, he has no legitimate answer, so he has to go back and get answers written and drawn up for him, just like he had the answer about my denial. And you're going to hear him. He had the policy all written, all typed out and everything like that. So I'm going to let y'all listen to what he stated in regards to my denial. And I'll probably stop it periodically to make sure that you can hear what he says.
Yeah, well, the first item, like I said, was the denial of my volunteer application process. I know that I went through the orientation and everything was ready to go. And then a week before we were supposed to start, they said, well, we're going to wait to start until next week. And so during that time was the first of the month where there was a policy change. And after that policy change, I received this little 3 sentence letter from you, saying I've received your letter to appeal based on your letter, the information in your background check, and the selection criteria outlined in Wayne County Board of Education Policy 5015, my decision is to deny your appeal. So my question is, what changed in my criteria, my qualifications from 2022, 2023 to now?
So the board was going through that policy, update policy that specifically is school volunteers. Have a copy of that policy provided to you. I won't read through all aspects of the policy, but it does require certain key non-negotiables on behalf of myself, the superintendent, by statute serves as secretary to the board. In that, it says that there will be a review of criminal charges and records of arrest in section A. And then under the factor into your background check, which is submitted and signed for a president district committee done on your behalf. Section B, review of criminal records or records of conviction, specifically applicable of section 2, volunteer applicants shall not be approved. Volunteers convicted of violent crimes or certain drug crimes, including but not limited to, specifically developed into item number F, drug crimes involving controlled substances that are scheduled 1 to 5 and or trafficking, manufacturing, distribution of similar crimes.
So what he just said there is he took out the policy that was recently changed a week before I was supposed to start, and he said, well, we do policy updates, and as a result of the updates, we there are certain, he used words like non-negotiables that it said nothing like that in there, but he says non-negotiables, and if you heard him later on, he said, well, the person shall not, if they've been convicted of a crime, they shall not. And the crime that he's talking about was a simple possession of Schedule 2 or cocaine in 2008. That's 16 years ago. And my question to him was not the policy, but what about my criteria, my qualifications, my record has changed since I was allowed to volunteer last year and then disallow this year. And you'll see me once again ask the same question. I hope you guys can hear this.
So what does that have to do with my character and my performance from the
You hear me? I said, what does that have to do with my character and my performance from the previous year?
before? I understand policy, but
Policy is what I have to go by.
Okay.
It instructs me to follow the applicable policy.
okay. So why was the policy?
Once again, policy is what I have to go by, right? That's what he says. And once we're going to see that how they changed the policy that was handed to him. He said he's going to specifically mention, well, policies are handed down from the state, and policies are then revised. But he's going to tell on himself, not trying to be a little dismissive. Hold on.
Policy was updated on regular policies.
So after that policy changed,
Once again, I said, why was the policy changed? He said, well, the policy was updated. Now, there's a difference between changed and updated. Now, the updated didn't have to come from whoever he said sends the policy down. The update came specifically from Wayne County Schools. But let's continue.
you go back and pull every applicant's criminal record and make
So now what I asked him was, okay, after that policy was updated, did you go back and review every single applicant's policy? Now, this is where Robin jumps in because he knows that Dr. Whichard can answer that question because we know they didn't go back and review every applicant's application within a week, right? But here's Mr. Derksen.
But because of the new policy, did you go back and request every school volunteer application to do a new criminal background?
It's okay. So the policy change began in August of this past summer when it was moved from volunteers was moved from the Human Resources Department to my department. And I went through my first training on the background check system in probably the last week of August. And what I realized very quickly after speaking with HR is that we need to make sure that we have clear guidance for how we evaluate volunteers. And so, I spoke with Dr. Whichard probably that last week in August. I had my first conversation with our board attorneys in September. And the board policy, I believe, was approved back in September, and I have to check the date on that. But the update was made because we wanted to have clear guidance so I could treat every single volunteer fairly. We did not do one single case review until the policy was put in place. And so once the policy was put in place, I believe the end of September, I began the process, and I went through hundreds of volunteers. And because essentially, if you had anything from a speeding ticket on up, a case review had to occur. And that's pretty much whatever date you received your notice was probably when your case review occurred.
So why was
everything was handled in accordance with a very.
See, now that's Ken Derksen, and if you listen to what he's saying, once again, it's just a bunch of babble, if you ask me. You know, he clearly said, okay, yeah, the policy was revised. It was revised, and he clearly says the process was moved from the Human Resources Department to his department, which takes the decision-making ability out of the hands of the Human Resources Department and puts it solely in the hand of Ken and essentially Mr. Whichard. And so last year, when the Human Resources reviewed my criminal history, which hasn't changed since last year, they said, yeah, you can come do the program. Now, all of a sudden this year, there's an update in policy which disallows me. But I'm going to let you hear more of this, as I call it, you know, babble, for lack of a better word.
July, all the way up until those case reviews that occurred after the policy.
All right, so like you mentioned before, the review process was in the hands of the Human Resources Department. So why was the review process put solely in the hands of Dr. Whichard?
It wasn't. It's not in mine.
Yeah, I mean,
And there was a policy in place.
What he was stating, it goes now under his division for background checks.
well, this is my decision. This is personally saying you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so the appeals process before, before the.
See, I'm explaining to him. He said, well, no, it wasn't in my hands, but I literally received a letter from him that says, after consideration, my decision is to deny your appeal. Not because policy states it. He says my decision. Because if the policy forbid me for being convicted of that crime 16 years ago, then there would not been an appeal, right? It's policy. So therefore, there was no need for me to file appeal. It's policy. So that clearly contradicts his statement of, well, you know, it's in my, I made the decision. The letter says it is my decision to deny your appeal. If there's a policy and that states that you have this criminal charge on your record, then there is no appeal because that's policy, right? If what he's saying is true. But I want to let y'all continue to listen.
In the hands of the Human Resources Department, because that's who handled my appeal last year.
Would ultimately have had to approve for us. Based on your review.
Okay.
Because originally your first volunteer application was denied.
And
then
we did the appeal support.
And that would come right from the superintendent.
Yeah, so
But the superintendent has a different policy that he has to follow now.
okay.
So I think that's the biggest difference.
Okay. So my past performance, my past work in the community, my past work with children and everything
superintendent volunteer applications shall not
Now,
be approved.
I don't have the policy with me, but of course, I did videos on the policy, but there was a specific section in there that said it was up to the discretion of, okay, and I can pull that, I mean, I can go back and look at it and we can have another meeting.
And below the non-negotiables, because the board has their non-negotiables, and that section right here.
What is that?
You see, he keep using words non-negotiable, like, but it says it doesn't say non-negotiable in the paperwork. Once again, this and I hate to use this. What he's saying is pretty much, I'm white and I say so. You know, like my brother Tariq Nasheed said, that nothing in that policy says non-negotiable. But, and I'm going to show you how. Once again, that's what he's pretty much saying. I'm white and I say so.
What does it say non-negotiable?
Well, it shall not. That means regardless.
Let me see.
Will not, shall not.
It shall not be approved to be school substance if convicted of.
So once again, if I shall not be approved, and I'm going to pull the policy up because there was, and I didn't do all the preparation that they did because of course they know really there was no reason for my application to be denied. But in order to justify it, they went back and pulled a particular piece of the policy. You heard them at the beginning say, well, I'm not going to go through the whole policy because if you read further or go a little back, it clearly states that the length of time from the past conviction shall be considered. And I'm going to pull that up for you here, probably on the next video, on a follow-up video. But I just wanted to do this today while I had some time.
Violent crimes or certain drug crimes, but not limited to drug crimes involving controlled substances that are Schedule 5 under, and any trafficking manual. Okay, so I don't have any trafficking.
No, but
none of
the
those
Schedule
things.
1-5 offense, that would have been the non-negotiable for a board. Anything below that, alcohol offenses, drug offenses, excluding controlled substances.
And that's Ken Derksen talking now.
One of those up here, in trafficking, manufacturing, traffic offenses, others. Those are the areas where we do have some leniency. We're going to take into account if you had, say, a minor drug offense 20 years ago, or you have something that is on your record that doesn't rise to one of these. That's where we have leniency.
Okay.
The board gives us zero leniency when they say shall not.
Okay, but last year was okay.
Last year was a different policy in place.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Why was the policy? I mean, I've had people say that the policy was changed specifically to prevent me from going in. But you know, of course, you're not going to admit that. But
The School Board Association.
And that's what I told him. I said, and literally, like the week that person called me and said, look, the policy, they're going to change the policy to prevent you from going into school. That same week we were supposed to start the volunteer program, they said, no, we're going to do it next week. That next week, the policy was quote unquote changed, or as they put it, update. But he's going to tell on himself right here. He's going to say, well, the policies come from the School Board Association. And so watch what he says. I hope you guys can hear it.
Sent out large sections, what's called the PLS update, which is our regular policy updates and statutes change. The legislature makes adjustments to law. We get those policies sent to us. On occasions, there are special revisions that take place.
See, look, he just admitted it. He said, well, these policies are sent to us as updates from the state board of a school association, whatever he said, and you can go back and listen to it. Those policies are sent by us, and then we get those policies, and on special occasions, revisions are made. He just told on himself that this policy didn't come from the state. This policy was made specifically after the policies were received. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit so you can hear him again.
I mean, I've had people say that the policy was changed specifically to prevent me from going in. But you know, of course, you're not going to admit that. But
The School Board Association sends out large sections, what's called the PLS update, which is our regular policy updates and statutes change.
See, he said, okay, we get those policy updates from the state board of a school board association, whoever he said, whoever he's babbling about, right? Then he says, okay, when we get them at times on special occasions, there are revisions that are made in accordance to the continuity of what other schools are doing in the area. Pretty much psychobabble, pretty much saying, I'm white and I say so. I changed the policy. He literally just admitted that. If anybody can't see that, then I got some formula and an article to sell you, and we can start a forum there. He literally said the policies come from the state. The legislators make the laws, and we get those policies, and then on special occasions, I guess this special occasion was Richard Taylor, special revisions are made in continuity, considering what other schools are doing in the area, right? Once again, like once I heard that, I was like, okay, you just basically saying I'm white and I say so. And no offense to anybody that's white, but I mean that's just how I see it. But I'm gonna keep going.
That I have to follow. I have to follow the policy.
See, once again, he said I have to follow the policy, but you just admitted that once you got the policy from the state, special revisions was made in accordance with the continuity of blah, blah, blah. Basically, you admitted to, okay, when we get these policies, we're going to make those changes. And I did a whole video outlining the changes that were made. So those changes didn't come from the state. Those changes came from the Wayne County Public School System, most notably Dr. Marc Whichard. Let's continue.
Discretion. Gives me discretion, then I certainly will consider.
And then he says, well, I have to follow the policy. Well, if it gives me discretion, then I'll exercise the discretion, right? Let me see. I gotta charge my phone, but I think I got enough, and I'm gonna speed this up real quick so my phone won't die.
Consider what the board allows me to have discretion to do. If the board changed the policy, I have to follow the policy. I have no leeway. The wording in that is shall. It doesn't say may.
The board changed the policy. I have no leeway in that, but you clearly admitted that you guys changed the policy. Let's continue.
Other sort of leeway is shall not. So I don't have any discretion in that
Okay, I gotta review that again because I'm pretty sure that there was something in there that kind of permitted that.
Now watch this though.
I'll get back to you on that. So the second issue is, I think a lot of the community is concerned about the closing of the Wayne Academy track for public use. Now that I think that the Wayne School of Engineering is going to be there, and the concerns are people have used that track for years publicly. Where when it was Goldsboro Junior High, Hillard Academy, and Wayne Academy, now Goldsboro Middle School, whatever it was. So the question we want to know is why now that the track is closed to the public, now that Wayne School of Engineering is there?
I will have to certainly look into that.
You hear what he said? Well, I'll have to look into that. I wish you would have told me sooner so I could have researched. What is there to research? You know why it's closed. Stop it, man. See, this is why, like, he didn't have the cookie cutter prepared answer to give me to justify that. There's no justification about that. We know what this is, but let's continue.
I'll certainly do that. And get back.
So you wasn't aware that the track was closed to public use?
I would need to get factors on that.
But are you aware that the track was open for public use and now it is closed for public use?
I know part of the issues that we have with some of our tracks.
You see how he's deflecting to answer the question? Well, I know that part of the reason that that's not what that's not what I asked you. You're gonna see him avoid the question about 3 or 4 more times.
That they are prepared. Their safety matters. For example,
Is the one that Dillard covered.
yes.
So that was why the issue was brought to me, because Steve Ashford from Ashford Boxing Club normally takes his children to the one at Wayne Academy, because that is been well taken care of. So he called and asked me, of course, why is he closed now? So my question to you, so you did not know it was closed?
I'll have to look into the particulars of it.
Yeah, I mean,
He keeps saying, once again, I said, you didn't know it was closed? I have to look into it and get back with you. No, you know it was closed. And he's finally going to admit it after I asked him like 3 more times. Listen.
I knew you said that, but did you know it was closed? Yeah.
I asked, did you know it was closed? Like I said, I'm gonna find out and research and get back to you. Stop playing games, man. I'm not going to let this question go.
I mean, yeah, I understand that, but that's a yes or no question. Did you know it was closed?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You see how? Yes, yes. All the deflection just went out the window. That goes to show you the sinisterness. He doesn't have a cookie cutter answer to explain. Look, if I was the superintendent and somebody came to me and asked me, well, the track has been open for the 3 previous schools. Why is it that now that Wayne School of Engineering is getting the track, it's going to be closed? I wish you'd have told me that earlier. I'll look into it. No, you know the answer. Like, you're the superintendent. Those things don't happen without your knowledge. So this is the type of things that I'm saying. He wasn't prepared for that question. So that's why you got the deflection of 6 times and try to deflect and psychobabble and all of those things, but I wasn't having it. But let me see. I think I asked him about another personal meeting that one of the community members wanted to set up with him, and I think that was the end of this meeting.
I spoke with another community member, Marc.
Yeah, and that's it. But see, so that's the basis of the meeting. It's about 2 or 3 more minutes left. But I just wanted to share that with y'all because when you are trying to get to the bottom and trying to, really ask questions, you're going to get a lot of deflections. And if you're not persistent, if you're not listening to what is really being said, like he clearly said, the state gives us policies. And when we get those policies on special occasions, there are revisions that are made considering the continuity of Wayne County and what other schools are doing in the area. Basically saying, okay, we made those revisions. And I asked them specifically, well, I was told that the policy was changed for me. No, the policy comes down from the state and we make special revisions. So basically your answer, you just admit it. Yeah, you changed that. You changed the policy. And then he said, well, and I have to follow the policy. And he kept going through that little section that kept saying shall not. A person shall not. These are non-negotiables. I know what that is, man. But this is what people in this position do. And you just saw him deflect from the question about the Wayne Academy track that is not used anymore for the public. You heard him deflect from the question at least 7 times before finally admitted, because he's kept. I asked him why is it closed now? Well, I have to research that and get what you didn't know it was closed. Well, I have to research that. Well, I know that, but did you know it was closed to the public? Well, I know about some issues we have with. Did you know it was closed? Well, I said I'll get back to you. Did you know it was closed? Did you know it was closed? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Because we could have did that all day for 30 minutes. But he knows, if he knows it's closed, then he know why it's closed. So stop playing, Dr. Whichard. And I know you probably somebody's gonna send you this videos, and shout out to my man Ken. I know, he wanted you in there, and I'm glad you were there because, you were his mouthpiece when he couldn't answer those hard questions, And so I thank you for kind of proving, my point is, those things were done, within within a sinister manner. But, and like I said, earlier it's just a shame, when you have someone who's just did the Reading Buddy program all year, had no issues, and then I make a couple of videos about the school board, then they say, well, we're going to make sure that he can't read to the kids anymore. That's petty. You know what I'm saying? And you literally explained the pettiness when you said, yeah, the updates, we get large updates and legislation, and, these come down from the state board, and we get those updates, and special occasions we make revisions of them. And that is, so basically, once again, that didn't come from the state to change that policy. You did it just because, as the person called with Inside Intel and told me that y'all didn't want Mr. Taylor in the school reading to the kids. And that's fine because I'm with the kids every day. So 919-587-7782. If anybody got any comments, please leave them in the comment section. If anything that I said wrong or anything you think that I am out of line about, please leave it in the comments. But I definitely had to share this video because I knew I wasn't going to get any answers, concrete answers. I got the one cookie cutter answer that was drawn up, practiced, and rehearsed by him and Ken. But when I talked about that track, I have to look into it and research it. You didn't know it was closed? I have to look into it and research it. So that's what we have, man. Y'all have a blessed night. But 919-587-7782. Peace.